Welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us. That gets us thinking, gets us talking, gets us imagining, gets us exploring ways of being. And perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. Last week, we had a wonderful guest, Terry Gips, the president of the Alliance of Sustainability, and we've asked him to come back for this show as well. Rick Bernardo, the co-host, has invited our friend Terry to be here.
That's me, yeah. And we had a wonderful whole hour show with him last week. And even before that, the 40th year anniversary for the Alliance for Sustainability. That was in 2023. So welcome back, Terry.
Thanks. It's great to be back.
I say that our topic today, after having such a great conversation last week about really thinking about what sustainability is, which I love thinking of it in a new way. It's not just maintaining, it's really a dream that we can have for ourselves and then co-create together what that dream of the world can be, which I think is really important when we're feeling the overwhelm. I just sense that the whole world is an overwhelm. It's a different kind of overwhelm that we had during the pandemic. This is an overwhelm that, again, touches our soul and who we want to be and how we will survive. And so how can sustainability help us with that vision of beyond surviving? You know, you have in many of your missions and vision the word thrive. You know, it's hard for me to even thinking about thriving when I have all these anxieties about what we are facing right now. How do you see sustainability supporting us?
Yes, thanks, Lori. Well, I would say that sustainability is like a North Star. It's like this opportunity, this vision, this possibility for creating the world of our dreams. And it's pretty matter of fact on certain levels. We define it as being ecologically sound, economically viable, socially just, and humane, meaning to embody our highest values. So how we treat people, animals, and the planet. And what's interesting, Lori, is that I feel that most of us, when I lead trainings about sustainability and we have a chance to vision, regardless of whether you're a liberal, conservative, or progressive, whatever you are, we share similar visions. It's really stunning. And so I think in a time of this divisiveness, that it offers an opportunity for us to really come together.
To make a bridge.
Yes.
To create the connections.
And it doesn't mean business is bad. It doesn't mean it's bad to be a human being. It doesn't mean many of the things that we've been brainwashed. And it also is another way of looking at who our lives are. What's really there for us as human beings? What are our true fundamental needs? And how can we have those fundamental needs be met for every human being? And I think that right now on the planet, we're in a situation where so many people are struggling just to even have food to eat. And I think that that affects all of us in a very, very deep way, unconsciously in some cases, or we may have feelings about it and push it down because it's so painful to know what is taking place in the world. And so by getting in touch with that, we can actually rise up, that we can actually come together with simple things like being kind to each other, being respectful for each other. And it can change our bodies. Our whole body chemistry can be changed by doing that. And as we do more and more of that, we can then take on some of these other issues together instead of being divided.
It's interesting when you say that. I think to myself, and it's going to sound a little crazy, but there's like addictions that keep us away from knowing what's important. The addictions kind of give us that salve to and I see sometimes our need to buy and consumerism is part of that addiction, but it leads into more painful realities. All of the things that addictions can do not serve our greater good.
Yes. And I think that that's part of the healing that we need to support every one of us with.
Mhm.
And, we know that there's what's called epigenetic trauma
Mhm.
that all of us have experienced, and it's been passed on into our genes.
Mhm.
Most of the time, we're not even aware of how it's affecting us.
Generations worth of pain. Yeah.
Generations worth of that kind of pain. So I think for us to understand that about every human being, that is part of who we are,
Mhm.
and to be kind
Yes.
and support each other in doing that kind of healing. Sustainability is all about that. And in fact, we've often said at the Alliance 40 years ago, after we were founded, we've often said that the solutions themselves are not hard. It's the human beings that we have to support in evolving into using those solutions and to feeling it's possible, including, and I'm just going to say it, to start with loving ourselves.
Yep.
And that's hard,
And taking time.
Yes.
Sometimes loving ourselves is allowing ourselves to do something that maybe, we have all these other things on the to-do list.
Yes.
But we don't often put together our to-be list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. What do we want to be? And
Yeah.
I think like you say, take that time to reflect on, who do I want to be in the world? Be the change, as Gandhi would say,
Yes.
that we want to be in the world. And as Paul Wellstone always spoke about,
Yes.
we can be that change. And it's not far away. It doesn't have to, despite all the bad things, we can choose that today. And that's what we need to do.
And your newsletters that you have from your organization help with that. Give us the email address again, not the email, the
web address. Web address is A4S, A for Alliance, FOR for 4. Sustainability is an S, so A4S.org. And on that website is a place right there to sign up for their newsletter, which we get every
other week.
Every other week. All right.
Yes. And it's called Transformative Sustainability. And we also have a Substack with the same title.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. What I love about our newsletter, we have an amazing communications coordinator, Amy Doerr, who's in Pennsylvania, who is responsible for the newsletter. And we have these great interns, college and graduate school interns, that do writing of the articles. And it's so wonderful to be able to hear their perspectives on these issues. And so in our latest issue that just came out, we've got an article by one of our interns who's at Washington University, and she herself is just an amazing person, Danby Yu, and who's at Washington U in St. Louis, and she wrote an article about vegan fashion. And it's really interesting. And she said that vegan fashion is clothing and accessories that don't contain animal or animal-derived substances. And she talks about it in great length about what does that mean. And then she gives some facts that I think are really stunning. And she talks about animal agriculture, which most people don't realize is really one of the leading contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, water usage, and loss of biodiversity. But we often don't think about it when we think about our fashion.
Sure.
So she talks like 3 different areas, and maybe just I'll share a few of the facts, like the carbon footprint from leather. A single pair of cowskin leather boots uses the same amount of carbon as charging your phone for 23 years.
Seriously?
Or about 8,500 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's stunning. A leather jacket emits well over twice that amount of carbon. And
so that's like 50 years almost.
Yeah. And wool has a similarly enormous carbon footprint. While sheep wool made up 1% of the global fiber market, it accounted for 98% of the annual carbon emissions from animal fiber industry.
So she's recommending plant fibers.
Yes, she is. And maybe just a few other things about the water footprint. The fashion industry uses about 25 trillion gallons of water a year, and a huge amount of that is for leather and wool.
Wow.
Huge amount. A single leather tote bag takes about 4,500 gallons of water to make, roughly equivalent to 500 showers.
My purse is going to feel heavy.
Yes, your purse is going to be heavy. And it's not like any of this is bad, but we just need to understand
that we can make other choices.
We can make other choices. And then there's animal welfare components. So the question is, what is there? that we can do that isn't like harming the animals? What is it that doesn't harm the environment? Which things that can be healthy? So we have this rise of sustainable style. It's an amazing thing. A 2024 global survey by YouGov shows that 27% of shoppers avoid animal-based fashion.
Had no idea.
27%.
Had no idea.
And 70% of Americans agree that companies should invest in vegan alternatives.
Well,
I mean, this is not like a small little group.
No.
This is, 70% of us, 7 out of 10.
We just got another minute, but we want to talk about when we come back, the interplay between our individual behavior and the policies that we're looking at, because we want to go there too.
And I just like the title of it, Food for Thought, Move Aside Animal Leather. Vegan fashion is on the rise. In our next segment, I also want to just talk about how fun it is to work with the young people and how you come up with your decisions and what does go on that newsletter. I think that's fun to kind of go behind the scenes and hear about that too. So stay with us. We'll be right back after some commercials, and we'll be learning more about some cool things that you could be getting on your newsletter when you order it. And again, one more time, the website?
A4S, Alliance for Sustainability, is what that stands for, .org.
And there's also some other great things.
There's a lot of resources.
It's
there.
a wonderful website that has resources. It talks about the history. It talks about things that you can think about doing to be part of creating a sustainable world, including making a pledge. So we'll be right back after a few short commercials. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I am glad that you have joined us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and I have Rick Bernardo, our co-host. And our topic today is living with our overwhelm. How can sustainability support us to be thinking in new ways and acting in new ways to create a world that is our dream, a dream come true? I love being able to think about it as pursuing a dream. And to do that, we have the president for the Alliance of Sustainability and founder, Terry Gips. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you.
In our last segment, we were talking a little bit about an article that I find wonderful that's looking at vegan fashion. And I'd love to hear an example of what kind of cool vegan fashion there's out there.
Well, I did not know, to be very honest, until this incredible intern from Washington University, Dan BU, came up with the article that there were so many great alternatives, things like cork and other things. But the one that's
cork, I have this vision of wearing like a bazillion corks from my wine bottles.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that that's not what it is.
No, it's not. And what's very cool is that we now have processes to take these natural items like waste pineapple, waste the fiber from the pineapple that is thrown away.
Yeah, the
and
core.
I normally don't use that.
The outside, that we can make it into materials that we can wear, shoes and other kinds of products.
Very Polynesian.
Very. And what's really cool is like the most weird and wild one for me was actually leather made from cactus. I mean, that sounds pretty prickly to me.
Does.
It's pretty weird. But cactus leather, it's sold by a company called Deserto, saves 1,864% of the carbon equivalent of emissions compared to leather. Huge, massive, off the charts, amazing thing. And it's done sustainably.
I'd love to see a cactus farm. But the first thing that comes to me though is it seems like cactus grows a little slow.
It does.
So I hope we wouldn't like.
They have to grow it sustainably. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They're actually planting it, which is great, and then they harvest it. And you could eat cactus too, which is traditional.
Yes.
But to be able to make a leather from it that is great and comfortable and looks great and feels comfortable, which is biodegradable also in the end.
I love
So,
it.
so most of the leather, that's not biodegrading for a long, long time because it's been treated. So this is like a really great sustainability solution. And that's one of the core things at the Alliance that we love the interns discovering, is that we have all of these great solutions for some of our biggest challenges.
And I want to get to that. You've got these great interns, and they're all over the country, and you put this out once a week.
Every other week.
Every other. I want to kind of a sneak behind the curtain. What kind of? I envision a really cool conversation where people are pitching their ideas of what's going on this week. So tell me about that process.
That's exactly what we did. We had a conversation like, okay, it's summer. What do we want to talk about? And we talked about, should we do something about ice cream, which is the most sustainable but delicious ice cream that's out there? So that's one. How about mosquito spray? What do we want? We've done one before, for example, on sunscreen. Who has the best sunscreens? So that we can help everybody know, make great choices.
Sure.
But this is very important, but help the companies that are doing the right thing.
You call that a
boycott, that we can support them, that every dollar we spend is a vote for the kind of world that we want.
Vote with your pocketbook.
Yes, vote with your pocketbook. It's not just at the election that you get to vote. Every day we make decisions. So these are not necessarily hard decisions. Sometimes they cost more, but sometimes they cost the same. But in the end, they will save us money.
And when you vote with your pocketbook, make sure it's vegan.
Yes. Well, that's the thing about this article, which I love. I'm a vegan. I'm an organic vegan. So for me, that was great. But really, we have these conversations about what matters to you guys. And I feel, as a 74-year-old person, that I get inspired by young people's thinking. It keeps me getting younger and younger in my outlook on life.
I love the growing younger concept.
Yes. And that this is going to be their world. So we want them to lead the way, and they do. And they're just amazing. So to me, it's really inspiring. And here's the honest truth. They don't think that much differently than we do.
Yeah.
They just care passionately, and they want to work hard to help create the world that they're going to inherit.
And they're worried.
And they are worried, with good cause, and I believe that by giving them that voice, when they did this big study that found that 85% of the young people are really feeling this sense of hopelessness and eco-anxiety, they found that one of the major reasons is that adults weren't listening to them. So we work really, really hard to listen to their voices and what their concerns are. And then we want them to share. And we don't just say, do a straight news article. No, we want them to actually share their feelings about the subject. And to me, that's really provocative.
So
that really is awakening. And it makes it great reading.
Part editorial then.
Yes.
As well as
absolutely
investigative.
Exactly. It's doing the both. And I think it makes for great reading. But at the same time, it's like for older people like myself, it's like, oh, I could do that. This isn't hard. This isn't bad. It's like we all can do this together.
You have another article.
Yes.
And this one was kind of a surprise to me as well.
Well, and this is a good example of an article that they chose, that they got excited about.
And I'm just being reminded by my co-host that I asked that question and we only have a minute and a half.
That's okay.
So I'm going to have you preview it and make sure that we have more time.
We'll come back.
Yeah. Well, we always feature a take action in our newsletter. What's one simple step that you can take? And this one is to stop grocery stores from contributing to climate change. Now, who would think grocery stores? That's exactly the reason the interns wanted to do this article. I was really surprised. They didn't just want to do it. They felt we need to do it.
And that passion is something that we want to listen to.
Exactly. And maybe the only precursor I'll say is a recent EPA investigation found that half of the stores it visited had leaks of these gases of hydrofluorocarbons from their refrigeration units that is really seriously impacting climate change, causing much more climate change than even burning fossil fuels.
So we're going to talk about refrigerator technology, how that we could dismantle that to create sustainability.
Yeah, how we can change that. And you can use your voice to get these companies to change.
Well, we'll talk more about that. Alliance for Sustainability's website, a4s.org, and we're with Terry Gips, president and co-founder.
And stay with us. We'll be back after just a few of those wonderful commercials that sustain AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. Rick Bernardo is my co-host.
That's me. And we have Terry Gips, president and co-founder of the Alliance for Sustainability. Hi, Terry. It's been 40 and plus years you've been working on this stuff, probably even more than that for a lot of your life. So good to see you again.
It's great to be back.
And I also want to remind our audience that the Alliance for Sustainability, their mission is to co-create sustainability on a personal, organizational, and planetary level. And it's all about making a difference, isn't it? At the bottom line. And you are working with young people that have passion and insight and energy that keep us young, and we let them do the tech, and we and we move forward. But you help curate with these young people a bi-weekly newsletter. We learned about vegan fashion, and we teased the audience a little bit about the refrigeration in our grocery stores. And did you know that our grocery stores are one of the biggest culprits in climate challenges? So tell us more about that.
Well, I didn't know that. So that was news to me. So I want to thank Joe Parmigiani, who's one of our interns from Dartmouth College. And he wrote this great take action that we can all take that actually came from Green America, a sister organization of ours that we really love and believe in. And it's been doing this campaigns that we are promoting for people to join with. So what's interesting is that these greenhouse gases that are caused much more than just from burning fossil fuels in terms of per unit of measure, it's interesting that if we actually replace the refrigerants that are used by these grocery stores with much more climate-friendly refrigerants, it's stunning the difference that we can make. The present, it would change our climate. These climate-friendly refrigerants would actually prevent nearly 0.5 degree Celsius of global warming.
Wow.
0.5 degree.
That's
huge. Like huge.
Huge.
And I had no idea. And better refrigerants could prevent 460 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Now, that sort of leaves me cold. I don't know. What is 460 billion tons? That is the equivalent, this savings that we could have by making this shift, to 97 billion gas passenger vehicles driven for a year. Wow. 97 billion. So we're not talking little numbers here. We're talking huge, massive impact. And that's equal to the power produced by 124 million wind turbines. 124 million, that's the savings. That's how many turbines we would need to make up for this. So this is not a difficult thing for these to change. And that's why we're doing the take action. And that's why we do a take action in each issue of our newsletter, because we easily, in 30 seconds, can send a message to bring about these changes.
And I like how you said this leaves you cold.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, really cold.
Changing our refrigerator technology.
Yes.
And I may be asking too technical a question because I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah.
what is the difference in the refrigerants? Was that explored? I mean, why is one so bad and the other one is so much better?
Because our technology has changed. We've gotten better. And this is the great news about
Mhm.
sustainability. What we used to be stuck with, like
Mhm.
originally when we went from our normal light bulbs,
Yes.
we went to compact fluorescents.
Yeah.
And that was like so great. It was so wonderful. But they had toxic ingredients. They had to be recycled
Yeah.
to be able to capture
And they
those.
kind of gave you
So
a
it was a
headache.
huge and a headache for many people. And so we had to make that was a big change.
Mhm.
But now we have LEDs,
Which are amazing.
which are amazing. So it's the same thing with refrigerants that because we realized the problem, we had to come up with better refrigerants. And fortunately, we did. Now we need to make the change and push them to use these new refrigerants. So
And
it's
that-
not
and that-
hard.
And that also means, I'm assuming, new refrigerators. I mean,
In
you-
many
you
cases,
couldn't-
in many cases, they're easily replaced. In other cases, no.
Yeah.
The equipment that they have, they would need new equipment. So,
Mhm.
they're resistant to that. And they
Mhm.
go, unless they hear from us.
Right.
If they hear from us as consumers, then they're going to jump on it. And this is true. This happened 30 years ago in Sweden
Right.
Oh,
because the same thing happened. And it
And they heard
takes
enough
that.
voices.
You have to hear enough voices. And that's why each of our voices really matters.
I remember way back when the first Earth Day.
Yeah.
And that was, exciting time. And I think I consider my generation the granola
Mhm.
generation. It was after the hippie, but
The
not quite the
crunchies.
preppy. Yeah, we were crunchies and, wanted granola and
Yes.
environmentally good things. But I remember being in a march, for, Earth Day. And there were people that were mad at us.
Yeah.
I mean, we were somehow, criticizing or standing up against the status quo, and weren't we grateful, and why were we doing all of this?
Exactly.
And that really hasn't changed. That part.
Unfortunately. And my true confession is I was a big leader in the anti-war movement about Vietnam. And I remember we took over the administration building, and I remember coming back from the protests that we succeeded. They accepted our demands, and it was really wonderful. They accepted. I remember seeing a big banner over the dining hall saying Earth Day. And I went, Earth Day? What are you guys worried about the Earth about?
Exactly.
We got a war that we've got.
Yeah.
And I was
we were
not
napalming the Earth.
Yes.
Sorry.
And what I didn't realize is, yes, we have this war going on with our planet.
Yes.
And so that really changed me.
But it's all interrelated.
I've come a long way.
But it's interrelated, though, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
it's totally interrelated.
It is the vision of the world that we've talked about.
Yes.
And war is part of. There's a war on the world.
There is.
And and understanding that part relates to part.
And it's on the world. It's on people, because
Yes.
we see them as just resources or commodities or things to be used. You're expendable. We can fire you. We can, pollute this river or whatever the thing is. We can use up this resource. And it's crazy thinking.
And that's part of the superiority that
Yes.
that is perhaps created when we want to give ourselves a sense of like, this is how we handle it. We just move up to the next level, and
Exactly.
and we'll have a bigger voice, and we'll be more important.
Yes.
And people below me are not as important.
Exactly.
And that's the sadness. I mean, in our last show that we did last week, I loved how you talked about it's not necessarily Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which it seems like you get better and better as you go up the ladder, instead of we're all, pretty much having the same needs.
Yes.
We all have the same vision of what we want for ourselves.
Yes.
And instead of creating this like sense of you can get better, how do we just accept that we're pretty good right now and we need to treat each other with kindness?
Yeah. Well, I do think that it helps that work that I think is really important by Manfred Max Neef, this Chilean economist who is head of a big university in Chile. Bottom-up, people-centered, sustainable development. And this idea that all of us have these 10 fundamental human needs, subsistence, security, identity, meaning, creativity, participation, leisure, affection, learning, freedom and transcendence.
We don't
Those-
get that at the last rung. We get
Yes,
it right.
exactly.
Yes.
That's the point. And it
You
explains.
don't earn those. That's
It-
just who we are.
Yes, it explains why it's so important to have creativity,
Mhm.
to be able to express ourselves.
To have the imagination.
Exactly. So these are fundamental, and most of these needs cost nothing.
Mhm.
We can create them. We just need to understand that these are needs that apply to all of us,
And they're important.
To
and
be
they're
human.
important.
For
And we
being
need
human.
to design our homes, our workplaces, our communities to fulfill. That's the goal,
To celebrate.
to celebrate
Yeah.
and to acknowledge that. And it doesn't have to cost a lot more.
No.
It actually can be cheaper, and people can be more fulfilled
Mhm.
and have meaning in their lives. We can do this.
One of the things that has meaning in my life is growing my garden. And there is really good studies that show that that's a healthy thing to do, to get my
Very.
hands in the dirt. So you've got a student that brought up the dirt.
Yes. Yeah. And I really want to credit Minnesota Public Radio, because they did this great segment on being in nature and the importance of nature for all of us.
Mhm.
And so our intern, Meta Islam, who's from Binghamton University in New York, she did this great piece for us. And it's called The Hidden Healing Power of Dirt, How Nature Supports Our Well-Being,
It does.
which is an amazing concept, which, to be honest, I never thought about. I never knew. And sometimes the best medicine isn't in a bottle, that it's under your fingernails. And it's like getting dirty means getting healthy. That's like completely
But
opposite.
children knew that. How many mud pies and rolling
Exactly.
in the dirt? I mean, there's an instinct for the ground to ground us.
Yes, and this is what's so astounding, that spending time in nature, you don't have to have your fingers in the dirt, but there's
I
benefits.
like it. I like
I
it.
like it too, and I always did as a kid. And when I garden, I don't wear gloves.
I don't
like
either.
getting my
Oh, yeah.
fingers in the soil.
Yep.
But spending time in nature can actually boost your gut health.
Really?
Yes, your mental clarity and your immune system at the microscopic
That I
level.
like.
This is astounding.
I like it.
That this is not hard. It costs nothing. We can just do this and
And there are
have these
beautiful parks.
exactly.
If you live in a
Yes.
condo apartment, it doesn't mean that you don't have access, because we do.
Exactly. We're glued to our screens.
Yes.
And this is the best antidote for that. It's like, how do we actually be with this world that we evolved with? Our bodies are part of this world. We're not separate from it.
That tells
And
me.
in fact, like, I think it's like 85 or 90% of our gut biome is not human.
Yeah, I know.
All
Not
right.
human at all. At
No.
all.
No,
It's
we're-
from all these microorganisms and other things that are essential for our health.
we're
Symbiotic.
coexisting with all of that. Symbiotic, exactly.
That's exactly
This-
it.
Tells me that rolling around on the ground somewhere is just good for us.
And I
period.
will make a confession. It happens to me around April, sometimes March.
Yeah.
I actually get hungry for getting my hands in the
It's
dirt.
beautiful.
It's just, there's something that happens. I have to start my little plants because I'm away from the dirt and I need to have my dirt time.
Exactly. I think that's so beautiful. And I think other people feel that as
Yeah.
well. And new research highlights how exposure to diverse microbes found in the soil and natural environments can improve our health, especially by supporting our human microbiome, which is amazing. And so I love this. The Eagle Bluff Environmental Learning Center in southeastern Minnesota has this really great executive director. Are we at time?
No, go keep
Oh,
going.
okay.
Sorry.
Good. And so they have this, and she says, soil has little microbes in it that kind of it sounds disgusting, but they get inside us. And the healthy microbes settle in our gut, and a healthy microbiome is really important for our immune function.
I love
It's
it.
how we fight cancer. It's how we fight all kinds of other diseases, heart disease and other problems. We want them in us.
That's
Well,
awesome.
we know in past generations that people did not have the same diseases that we have now.
Exactly.
So what's that all about?
Yes.
I know we ran a little bit over, but it was too fascinating to cut off. So with that, we do need to go to some commercials. And I do want to have our next segment talk about more things that individuals can do. But those stories in those newsletter, please thank your youth interns that are doing such great work.
I will.
And we'll be right back after some more great commercials that support the wonderful work of AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we have been talking about sustainability, a little bit about how we deal with our overwhelm, and we've also been hearing about the youth and their voices, their dreams, their sharing, their research, their ideas, their opinions, their advice on how to create that dream together, how to co-create it. And we've had our president and founder of the Alliance for Sustainability, Terry Gibbs, give us his inspiration and ideas and experience and things for us to think about, which I also want to do during this segment. And Rick Bernardo, you invited Terry, so thank you.
I did. I'm to blame. Right.
No, you're to be celebrated along with Terry.
You're the troublemaker,
Yes.
Rick.
I know it's good. It's the good trouble,
That's the good one.
And I'm proud to be with you. And thanks for being here. Before I forget, A4S stands for Alliance for Sustainability. That's the website, A4SFOR.org. And go to their website. There's a lot of tools. We've been referring to that here and there. And Terry Gibbs and his crew of young and old are working all the time on newsletters and all kinds of things you can sign up for. That's a font of wisdom and practical tips on all kinds of things as well.
And in our last segment, we always like to encourage people to take action. One of the things that they can take action on is the upcoming State Fair.
Minnesota State Fair is going to feature 4 talks by Terry and his interns. 2 of them are on August 21. That's the first day of the State Fair. At noon, there's one. There's one also at 5 o'clock. These are both happening in the Eco Expo building on the sustainability stage.
I love that there's a sustainability stage.
Yeah.
Is that where the dreams can come true on that stage?
And I just want to say that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency is the sponsor of the whole eco experience
The whole thing.
and the sustainability stage. So that is our government doing great work.
Good.
That's great.
And it's also a great place to go to bring the whole family, because there are hundreds of great things that you can learn to incorporate into your life. Everything from, if you want to check out some electric vehicles, to electric bikes, to ways you can conserve water and energy, all kinds of simple things.
And what days should they put on their calendar to make sure that they come?
And that's all at the Eco Expo building. And I mentioned August 21, that first day of the fair. Also August 30th, the next to the last day, at noon and 4 o'clock. That's a Sunday, right before the holiday, the next day, which is the last day. Yeah. So August 30th and August 21, and go to the Eco Expo building. And just, you're going to be at the fair anyway. Why not spend some great time there at that place?
I want to talk about a pledge that you have on your website. Tell me about that.
Well, the pledge is an invitation to people to actually take a next step. We give 4 different steps that you can take that are really simple, really easy, and you can sign up to take this pledge on our website at afors.org, or come to the State Fair and you'll have an opportunity to sign up there. And the 4 simple parts of the pledge is, first, that you will learn, support, and share practices that bring about sustainability, health, equity, and kindness. So that's not hard. You want to learn, and
lean in.
Yeah, just lean in, and you'll talk about them and try them. And then the second is, I will take action to support policies, campaigns, and aligned partners that benefit people on our planet. So I will take a step, whatever that might be, to actually change some of these things. Earlier in the show, we talked about one of those take actions about Green America's campaign about refrigerants at being used in grocery stores.
And a cactus vegan purse.
Yes, you can do that as well. And third is I will be part of the movement inspiring personal and organizational transformation and fundamental systems change. So I'm not like just out there by myself. I actually want to be part of this movement. I
have
want
a community.
I have a community. And that, I think, very good point, Lori, is sort of one of the big missings, because many of us feel very lonely and isolated, or, I mean, still coming out of COVID, but also with the assault that's taking place on so many different levels, that we can feel part of some group of people that we're really committed to creating the world that we want. And so I think that's important. And then finally, I will share the pledge with my friends and family, so
You'll keep it going.
You'll keep it going, and that we can all join together and create more than 1 million of us that are making this kind of pledge and commitment to changing the world.
Do you keep count?
Yes, we do keep count, and you can see the count on our website. So you can just go to the website, you can add your name to it, and you'll be all set.
All right. And then I have one other question for you in thinking about a takeaway from today. What would you want to have be the big takeaway to think about when it comes to sustainability? The pledge is really taking action. And I believe when you take action, you're really empowering yourself.
Yes.
But what's the big picture you want people to think about when they think about sustainability?
The biggest thing that I can share with people is we can create a world of sustainability, health, equity, and kindness. It may not seem very possible right at this moment. It may seem really overwhelming and really difficult. But we can do this. We have extraordinary solutions that will save us money, have us be healthier, protect the planet, and be able to pass it on to future generations. That's not a wish in some airy-fairy, thing that we come up with. No, we can actually do these solutions, and it's not like impossible. We just need to know we can create this world. And if we know that, we can do the work in terms of our own selves, loving ourselves. We can change, we can treat people with kindness, and that we can actually get our institutions to reflect those values, the place that we work, our schools, all of our different institutions, our government, that we can change them. And most of us want that world.
I think most of us want that world, but what you offer is the fact that if we hold on to hope, when we lose hope is when we, disengage, when there's the despair and action doesn't take place. But when you have hope, when you can hold on to that, that's what empowers. Exactly. That's what gets you to be able to move to the next step.
To get out of bed.
Yes.
And to know that what I do today matters.
It's going to make a difference. And it's because I have that hope, I will act. So I guess I hear your message being, hold on to hope. It's what's going to save us. It's what's going to produce the world that we dream of.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
Go to a4s.org website. This has been Terry Kipps with the Alliance for Sustainability.
And we'll have him back. Thanks so much.
Thanks, you.
Terry.